Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Only Stupid Answers. This is the show where we answer your questions about movies, TV shows, comic books, Mandalorians, and of course, with me, as always, I'm your host, DJ Wooldridge. With me, as always, is Roxy Stryer. Hi, Roxy.
Hi, DJ.
And listen, whenever the stars align, whenever we can, there's a lot more Star Wars content now, but whenever we can, if we have we're talking about Star Wars stuff, we get the lovely Maude Garrett on. Hello, Maude.
Hi. I know Star Wars, we've been talking about Star Wars for feels like 10 years.
Yeah. Well, it's funny because I was thinking about it. Like, it used to be like a hard and fast rule. Like, Star Wars things happen, we do what we can to get Maude on. But there's just been a lot, and you're busy. You're a busy person, so it's like that's not always true anymore. But thankfully, to talk about the premiere of Mandalorian season 3, we have you here with us. But before we get into that, how are you? How are things?
Life's good. It's 2023.
It's shocker.
Had that happen?
Yeah.
Is life good? Wow, I haven't seen you in a minute. I'm so happy to hear that.
I've actually started making that my default answer, so I don't spiral into a deep depression. But it's true. Like, when you really take a step back and look at things, we can all say with sincerity that life's like we're living the dream. We're living the dream.
Living the dream.
Living the dream.
Say it with us, Roxy. Living the dream.
Living the dream.
Say it, Roxy. Say it. Living the dream. So
you get it.
Yeah, listen, we're on the same page. Okay, so I said at the top that we're talking about the Mandalorian season 3, and I don't know that there was a lot of news. We've started talking about news. Roxy, is there any news? I don't think there was really any big newsy things that would be good for this show.
Unless you want me to spend time telling you about why Selena Gomez, Hailey Bieber, and Kylie Jenner are fighting about their eyebrows, then I don't know, DJ. Is there big news of the week?
No, I thought I might want to talk about the
big story.
I thought that Hailey was throwing shade at Taylor, which is why Selena had to step back into the fight, even though they had peace.
It's just an unbelievable turn of events that we had there, and just the lesson is don't over laminate your eyebrows. So DJ, be careful.
I know. Well, I know, but we also need to be careful because we might tread into spoilers for the plot line to Creed 4. So we don't want to, how they.
Is that shade on Creed 3?
No, actually,
no.
We're going to talk about Creed 3 and what we're into. I really liked it.
It could cause a fight.
I'm just saying. I've heard the plot line to Creed 4 is it's about waxing eyebrows or whatever it is that we're talking about right now.
Laminating, DJ.
That sounds terrifying. I still don't quite. What is it? Threading? Don't understand.
It's literally what you're thinking when you think of laminating. It's laminate.
It's tough. Here's my takeaway is that it's hard to be a woman. It's harder to be a woman than it is to be a man.
That can't be true because Maude's told us life's good.
Life's good.
Yeah, okay. Know. The other thing I thought about talking about in the news is how the new Sam Levinson show starring The Weeknd it seems bad, but we don't need to get into that because it's not out yet, so we don't know. It's just we're hearing.
Wait, what are you talking about?
There was a Rolling Stone article about how Sam Levinson made it. Went in. There was a woman director directing the new show starring Sam Levinson, creator of Euphoria, is creating a new show starring The Weeknd and Lily Rose Depp. And there was a woman director, and Sam Levinson was like, no! And he stepped in, and he made it, and it was supposed to be like a parody of how a woman, not a parody, a satire of how a woman gets pulled into an abusive relationship. And the Rolling Stone article posits that now it's been changed, according to people involved in the production, has been changed into like, no, it's good that this girl wants to be raped by this guy. It's awesome. It's fucking great. She's begging for it. And then The Weeknd, in response, posted a clip of the show where they bag on Rolling Stone, and the clip is awful. It makes the show look really stupid. But
okay, the show is called The Idol. I completely missed this story. I'm gonna have to deep dive into this.
Listen, we're gonna have to get into it. I have a bad feeling because my wife is a very big fan of The Weeknd that I'm gonna have to at least watch the first episode of it and determine.
I got a bad feeling about this.
I'll have to determine for myself. This will probably be the closest I get to watching Euphoria because Euphoria does not seem like it's for me. And the more I hear about this Sam Levinson dude and see stuff from Euphoria, I'm like, nope, I don't need this. I don't need any part of this.
Dan Levy's in this show. Okay.
At least that one scene. Let's hope maybe just that. Anyway.
Rachel Sennett, Eli Roth.
Mm-hmm.
Wow. Somebody I went to high school with, Hooray Neff. This is a great cast.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
Yeah. Well, listen. Long story short, that's all a way to say I don't think we have news this week. So, Maude, you're here, and you have a book club, and so I wanted to ask you what is it like to read?
Yeah.
You don't read books?
No, I do. I'm kidding. I'm trying to get.
I feel superior.
Yeah.
You should.
I feel intellectually gifted because I complete books. No, I've actually just finished my 21st book of the year.
Oh, wait. I'm so sorry. Of this year?
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah. Listen to books. Like, that was a game changer for me because I walk my dog for an hour every day and then I'll listen to it in the car and I'll listen to it going to bed. And so you can kind of really get through some books. Like every few days you can finish a book because it's about 8 hours. So I love reading books. I noticed that because there's so much content out there that it was either I would really get into a video game and that would take up a couple of months, or I'd really start getting into shows to binge and that would kind of consume me, or I would read books. And I think with the introduction of Maude's book club, I have prioritized books sort of over other things. So I'm not watching as much television or playing as many games at the moment. Yeah. But the thing I'm super proud of with Maude's book club is that we've gotten on every single author of the book that we've covered so far. In fact, we've gotten Patrick Rothfuss to talk about a series that he loved by Martha Wells, who we then got on to talk about her own book. God. And then we got on the Goodreads book of 2022 called Tomorrow and Tomorrow and Tomorrow. And we got Gabrielle Zevin on to talk about that. And this is centric around video game developers. And then we just did Spinning Silver, which is like a Rumpelstiltskin kind of reimagining. But it actually, Roxy, is championing Jews.
Let's go Jews.
Yeah. And it's kind of like acknowledging the hardships that were faced and how they were kind of like they were ostracized by basically the town and how they were doing the best they could. So that was a really interesting story. And I'm going to speak to Naomi Novik about that on Wednesday. And then this month's book, Red Rising, is a series that has been doing really well. They call it Hunger Games on Mars. And we're going to get the author Pierce Brown on at the end of the month to talk about this book as well. So I freaking love it. I love being able to share books. I love recommending books and like tailoring recommendations to people based on what they like. I find it incredibly fulfilling and wonderful. And it's a hobby that gives back to me. Finally.
I cannot believe what you do. Like I have to set a goal to read a book a year.
Hey, you can do that.
I know I did set that goal. I read one book a year.
Yeah.
And it's unbelievably challenging for me. And towards the end of the year, I feel like panic around it because I never have started. I am so slow. I have partial dyslexia.
Yeah.
I read the same page over and over again 50 times. It's really messing me up on the dating apps because everybody wants me to be a fucking reader. I don't know why all of a sudden my reading skills are not sexy to people. Yeah. And it is like a huge hole in my life. My 95-year-old Grammy, who everybody knows is my person, is still in a book club, the most exclusive book club in all of LA. Everybody keeps applying for it and they keep rejecting all of the new members. It's like the cattiest, most incredible 90-year-old book club I've ever heard of. And she's like, this is what you do when you get old. What are you going to do? You'll have nothing to do. You won't be able to be active. Like you can't do anything. You read. And I'm like, well, then I guess I just won't exist because I can't figure it out. Like, so when I look at somebody like you, you've read as many books this year as I've watched TV series in completion.
Yes, exactly.
I don't understand. But
I struggle to watch television like that. Like I will pick up my phone and I will
it's not a skill. Watch TV is not a skill.
I think
reading
focus
is a skill.
I think focus is a skill.
Well, and I think Maude is making a very good point here that everybody has their different fields of focus. I have not read as many books as Maude. I have not watched as many shows as Roxy. The end. I don't have a contribution.
You've made comic books.
I did. I am working on a comic book segue for in just a minute. Hellboundcomicbook.com. I think that yes, that amount of books in 1 year is incredible. I also am impressed with
in 1 year, in 2 months.
In 2 months,
DJ.
Good. Thank you, Roxy. Thank you for the correction. I also appreciate your ability to not only get the authors on. That's very cool. Also, the fact that all of your books were in hands, like you're like, here's this one here, like as if you prepared, as if you knew.
I did not.
Yeah, I know. I could tell, but it was still very impressive. So, if anybody wants to check that out, where are they going?
So we have social media. I basically converted all of Geek Bomb into Maude's book club. I focused on the one thing that brought me joy, and I just made it all that. So if you were following Geek Bomb, you're now following Maude's book club. Welcome. If you want to, just look up Maude's book club. We're on Discord as well, which is discord.gg/Maude Garrett, I believe. But I'm trying to build out an online community for anyone who is trying to read more than a book. Like if they need accountability, if like reading with a group with deadlines is going to be helpful, then I implore you to join the book club. We are reading lots of sci-fi and fantasy. We've got the year mapped out, so you can see if there's any books that you are interested in and join us for that. It's all free unless you want to join into the show. It's just $5 a month with Patreon, and you can actually join in the Discord call. And so our book club is like online with actual discussions with people in it.
Listen.
So that's really cool as well. And our youngest is 23 and our oldest is 73.
Wow.
Oh my gosh. Do you feel like you have a lot of positive benefits in your life because of the amount that you read?
So I think actually reading with a community provides those benefits. Like 2 times a year, I'll get my mum involved. She's a psychologist, so it's really interesting to talk books. And she's the reason why I read in the first place, because she reads like a book a day. So having her in to talk about this, the psycho breakdown of these characters is really cool. And then for her to say afterwards, she's like, your community is essentially found family, and what you have is so special. And so kind of like hearing that from the person I care about the most in the world was so like, it really made me step back and be so appreciative and grateful for this community that I've built to talk about books. And I think the most important part is, we're all reading the same words, but we're all hearing a different story. And so when you discuss it, you're hearing different perspectives, and people gain something new or different than what you've seen or what you've gotten from it. And that the exploration of different people's perspectives is rewarding beyond belief.
Super cool.
I want to be cool like you. Maybe one day.
That's super cool. Roxy,
cool.
You can join, and as Maude pointed out, you can listen to audiobooks. I will say, I think that's a good recommendation because the book I'm trying to get through right now is one audiobook is how I got through Stephen King's The Stand, which is great. I love it. I casually mentioned I saw that Cormac McCarthy, who wrote probably my favorite book, The Road, came out with a new book called The Passenger. My wife got it for me, but I don't read prose as often, and Cormac McCarthy is a big he thinks like punctuation's for sellouts. Like it's one of those, and it's like, it's like diving into the deep end. I need more simple stuff. But maybe if I listen to it on as an audiobook, I'd be like, okay, got it. I'm here. I'm into it. Because I know it's good. I can tell it's good. I just think it's a big, for somebody that doesn't read prose regularly, it is a big ask.
And I think by someone reading it, they're doing all the hard work for you, and so, but that means focusing on that is still a challenge, especially if your mind, goes off. And so actually listening is a skill too.
Do you reap the benefits though, when you're not reading the words?
Yes, you do, because it's still exactly the same. And I think that, when you're reading, you're imagining and you're immersing yourself into the world. And when someone's reading to you, you still have the liberty to do that as well.
Yeah. Also, that is for a long time of human history. That is how we ingested stories before print and before people. Before people, somebody would tell the stories to the local community. So it's part of human culture. If you're like me and you prefer your books to have pictures, you can go over to hellbentcomicbook.com, where as of this recording, we are like days away from the campaign being over. We are getting closer to our third and final stretch goal. So if you've heard me talking about hellbentcomicbook.com at my Hellbent Volume 3, and you're like, I'll contribute before the end. Now is the time.
Do it.
now is the time. Please. We are nearing the end. We could really use your support. All your contributions go straight towards our creative team and straight toward making the comic as great as possible. If you have followed along with the journey of Jesse and Nick since Volume 1, you're going to want to complete the story. If you've never checked it out before and you're a fan of The Sandman, Something is Killing the Children, Preacher, comics like that, you can get all 3 volumes, all 136 pages of the story in one go. So please do me and yourself a favor and go over to hellbentcomicbook.com. If you listen to this show on Spotify, every week we normally ask a question. There's been a little our little window has been making it difficult for me to post the question. So this week I did a poll instead. And the poll was, what are you most excited to see this spring? And the options were Ted Lasso, Succession, Shazam! Fury of the Gods, and the Super Mario Brothers movie. Maude, if you had to guess, based off those options, who do you think won the poll?
Oh, Succession. I've seen one of those already.
What? Wait. Is it the Mario Brothers movie?
Yeah.
God damn it. Is it good?
Yeah.
That's why she's smiling. And she's smiling if it was other ones.
Is it good? Can you say? Is that bad?
Can't.
Okay.
I can't,
All right. Sorry.
like-
We'll talk about it off the air.
No, we won't. She won't tell us anything.
She won't tell us anything.
Fox.
Roxy.
Yeah, DJ.
Based off those options and our audience, what do you think?
Oh,
won
your
the poll?
audience is Shazam. Sorry. I know my answer, but it's Shazam. Sorry.
Roxy, who do you think won the poll?
I would say that I still think actually Super Mario.
It is Super Mario. Super Mario Brothers got 37% of the votes, followed by Ted Lasso with 26, and then Shazam 21, and then Succession with 16.
My number one's Succession, by the way.
And not for nothing, she's seen the Mario Brothers movie. Anyway,
Because I've already said, but I've already seen it. Yeah.
Oh, got it. Yeah.
I am so stoked because of my announcement last week that the movie that I told you guys about, Crust, that they signed Alan Ruck onto the movie.
Yes.
I'm like,
I saw your announcement. That's huge.
I'm so excited about it. And now going into Succession this season, which is already one of my favorite shows.
Yeah.
I feel like I need to chill because I'm going to be so fangirly on set because I just think he is like a gift to the planet. And
Dude,
so
he's in one of my
talented.
favorite movies of all time.
Which
Is
is
it Ferris Bueller?
Ferris Bueller.
Yeah. I know. That's how I feel. And so I'm like, oh my God, watching Succession now. And I'm just going to be sitting there watching, thinking like, I'm prepping for the movie that we're going to be, I can't get over it.
Yeah,
So-
you're gonna be that's my friend Alan Ruck.
And that, if you're wondering, that's why life's good.
Oh.
See, that's my
Life has good moments and is an interesting place we live.
You got to embrace the positivity. You got to manifest.
Yeah.
Am I projecting? Absolutely.
Yes.
Yeah. Or you got fake it till you make it. Manifest
Manifesting,
destiny.
yep.
The
We're manifesting.
crystals. Moon,
Fate,
Venus in retrograde. I don't know.
No, actually, Pisces was just a new moon. So
I'm a Pisces.
Listen, you guys really have messed up the
I'm sorry. I apologize.
I don't know anything about astrology, nor do I believe in it. However, if you do,
Yeah.
what we know is that Pisces comes from the planet of fog. And so if you have been feeling foggy this month,
I have.
it
That's
is
my fault
because
too. Aw.
Pisces is a new moon, which is because of Maude. So
Yeah.
At least we didn't bring an old moon.
that's true.
all-
It's kind of crazy. Everybody I love is a Pisces, man. You guys, you
Yay.
bring the fog, but you bring the heat too.
Yeah.
We also bring the feels.
All I know about all that is that I'm a Scorpio, and I'm told that makes sense.
It does.
I don't know.
Scorpios are unreal, DJ. Your
No.
loyalty, your drive. Let's go. Wait, Ma, does that mean your birthday is like right around the corner?
Monday.
What? And we didn't
Yeah.
get you anything. Happy birthday.
You got me a place at the table.
How cool would it be if I had like knock knock right at your door right now? Oh, there's a cake. Happy birthday.
Don't even say that.
The
DJ.
timing. It'd just be cool. We can all imagine living in that world. Why not?
Our hopes are up.
See? Because
What are you
life,
gonna do now?
life is good.
DJ,
Any
you have
second
a
now.
device. Use your phone.
Wait,
Use your
hold
phone.
on.
Send some-
Okay. So now, listen. Now is a perfect time I feel like, because of that literal time that we're at in the show, to transition over to talking about The Mandalorian Season 3 premiere. And speaking of the premiere, Maude had the pleasure of being at the premiere. She's hanging out with Jon Favreau and Pedro Pascal. Pedro, he was there too.
Did you call him Paper Pascal?
No,
I would buy that.
no,
I would use that as a drawing set. Like Pascal
yes,
colors.
coloring book, and it's of The Mandalorian. No, of just Pedro Pascal.
Yeah.
How was the premiere? Tell us about the premiere.
It was great. It was freezing, but that's LA being a bitch at the moment.
Yeah.
The Mandalorian Season 3 premiere held at the El Capitan in Hollywood. They had Grogu waffles, like little waffles with ice cream for people. They had Mando's ship out on the stage at the El Capitan, which was pretty cool. So they had like some cool photo ops with all of that. Disney will usually invite a lot of professional Disney cosplayers. And so like when you look around, there are, all the characters, the whole fleet's there. So that's kind of a cool experience.
That's really smart. It's a really, like, we could pay to costume people to show up there, or we could just tell these cosplayers that have already put the time and money to show up. Exactly.
So we watched episode 1, and then Jon Favreau, Pedro, Katie Sackhoff, and Dave Filoni came out on stage, which was really cool, including Rick Famuyiwa. Who directed, I think, the episode 1 of this one and has done the direction. Yeah, so they all came out. That was a lot of fun. They kind of didn't really share too much about season 3. It was quite a quick little conversation, but they were basically thanking the crew. And then it was like, can you keep a secret? All right, here's episode 2. And we're like, I will say the best part about watching movies, especially with such an ingrained history and fandom, is when you do watch it in the theaters, because they tell you when the Easter eggs show up.
Mm-hmm.
So when they're like,
you're like, gotcha. Yes, this is a thing.
Well, I had no idea. But and then there's a couple that I had where I was like, I turned to Trisha, who I brought, and I was like, this is a big deal. And she's like, okay. And I'm like, I have goosebumps. So yeah, it sprinkled a few things in there, which is a lot of fun. But that's what you get when you have Dave Filoni in, who ran Clone Wars, Rebels, who has integrated sort of like the EU, sort of like all the books and stuff that were written. He's handpicking characters and things that will work in this generation. Yeah. He's understanding the fan service that's involved, and he's actually bringing it together in a really coherent way. I stand Dave Filoni. So there you go. That was the premiere.
I heard that there was a lot of, like, Sasha Banks showed up. I heard there was a lot of people who have been in previous episodes or coming up that were
Rosario
there.
Dawson was
Rosario
there.
Dawson.
Yeah.
Could you get a sense of like how of the cast interacting with each other?
I didn't see it.
I didn't see
it.
I'm just curious, because it's like been so segmented, if they all know each other, if they all like each other, if there's like a camaraderie there,
or if it's like Elizabeth Olsen when you're like, well, John Krasinski's like, I don't know, he wasn't there. I wasn't there the same day. It's like, well, you were in a scene together. Sure.
Oh yeah. I know that they do a lot of their filming in like this giant sound stage in Long Beach. Yeah. But you're right. Like if they're in different episodes, there's just no sort of overall coherency until they see each other and they're like, hi, I'm also in the show that you're in.
Mm-hmm. Totally.
Yeah.
There's my wife and I have been watching 1923, one of the prequels to Yellowstone.
It's so good.
And there's I don't like it as much as 1883. Maybe we'll talk about that and what we're into.
Do you care about me, DJ?
I'm sorry. I think the romance stuff is
so good. Lover,
tedious.
love, shipper.
Yes!
Tedious. I think it's tedious. But there's a lot of like Game of Thrones people in there, and what
are you, happy and in love or something? What is romance?
Do you get that from your relationship, so you don't need it in another way?
Yeah, that's what I'm hearing.
Good for you.
Sorry, but we were talking about like, I wonder if like the Game of Thrones people like talk to each other. It's like, I don't even know if these two, because Game of Thrones like filmed all over the world. Like I don't even know. Like maybe at a rap party they ran into each other, but like, did they film a scene together? I don't know.
Yeah, I think it wasn't Gwyneth Paltrow who was like, they asked her about the movie and she was like, I was in that movie.
Yeah, she didn't even know what the movie was.
Yeah. She's like, all right, I guess so. So very cool, super cool. Let's dive into the first episode. So Roxy and Maude have seen the first 2 episodes. I've only seen the first episode. We will start with the first episode, but I do have a question about the second episode. No spoilers, does something happen? Do things actually happen?
I mean, like, is there plot to the second episode?
Or character development or anything?
DJ, you can't start us off on this tone. Pause, stop, rewind, play.
Yeah.
The thing about DJ is that he is on his Andor high horse right now. DJ, amazing.
Maude's got her lightsaber. I'm in trouble.
DJ is on an Andor high horse, where Andor is the be all end all of Star Wars shows. Now, I've always been a Mando girl.
Mm-hmm.
I liked Andor, but Mando is my Star Wars show. It's the most Star Warsy to me because of lightsabers and fighting and creatures and all the things I love about Star Wars. So to me, DJ, in episode 1, things happened. So I can't answer your question about if things happened in episode 2, because yes, of course, it was a 42-minute episode in which things happened. But will you think things happened with that attitude? Maybe not.
And listen, we'll go on from here. I'll just say watching Mandalorian is like being trapped in a room with somebody showing you all their Star Wars toys, but they won't tell you. They'll be like, hey, here's the Babu Frick alien. You're like, cool, what does that mean? And then they'll just go on to the next toy. Here's this toy. It's like, but what does it mean? Like, why should I care?
All right. Okay. I'm going to explain it to you, DJ, real quick. So listen up. The reason why you like Andor is because Star Wars has been around for decades now, right? And now they're they are genre bending.
Yeah.
So they're like, yes, we've had a space fantasy this entire time, but with Andor, we're going to extrapolate a story where you already know the ending. So we're going to make it a thriller heist. Mm-hmm. We're completely going to flip the genre on this one, and we're going to have political intrigue, and we're going to give you all of this new sort of genre feel. Yeah. Mandalorian did the same thing. They were like, cool, those movies did not stick, did not do what they were supposed to do. We gave you a bunch more of the shit that you already knew, and we didn't expand upon it at all. And then they went, Mando, let's blend this genre into Western. Mm-hmm. Let's completely give it a Western feel, but we're going to do something that Westerns don't usually do, and that's going to be this beautiful dynamic between Din and Grogu. So it's sort of like, a buddy cop, but he's completely responsible for Grogu. So you have these like absolutely gorgeous feels and protection in a Western kind of scope. So that's why it's fucking cool, DJ.
Yup.
But I like
cosign.
But I like Westerns.
But what you're doing, I feel like you're thinking that maybe this whole Grogu and Din partnership is cheapening the Western sort of grit that you're expecting.
I think, and again,
instead of providing heart.
Because here's what I'll say: I love your positivity. I want to live in your positivity. I want to get to that.
Life's good. But
I think for me, what doesn't work for me, and maybe it's because, and this is why I don't really consider myself a Star Wars fan, is this to me exemplifies what I don't think works about Star Wars, is because it's much more interested in aesthetic and iconography than telling a story. Like, I don't think Mando is a character. Grogu's not a character. Like, it's two action figures in a scene together.
Wait, DJ, pause on that. Yeah. What do you mean Mando's not a character?
He doesn't have a distinct personality. I don't really know what
this is someone that grew up in essentially a cult where his only identity is being told what to do. And he's realizing that he's been taught in a way a lie. And now he's got purpose for the first time, but is still chained to the responsibility of his people.
Okay.
What is a personality, DJ? Like, I feel like he is stoic. He's conflicted. He is loving. He has empathy. Like, isn't that a personality?
Din is like you, DJ.
I don't think it's. I feels How very.
Do you not see the parallels?
It feels very basic. It feels very distinct. And I don't. And I think part of the problem is because we don't see Mando's face. And listen, that's one of Pedro Pascal's main. Listen, we've seen The Last of Us. Boy's so good with his face. It doesn't allow a lot. And because he's supposed to be so stoic, there's just not a lot of. So he can't convey through his face, and he can't convey stuff through his voice, and so nothing is really conveyed.
Do you know what? I will give you that for Book of Boba Fett.
Yeah.
Because I feel when you had two very contained leads of that with Boba and Ming Wei's character.
Fennec Shand.
Fennec, thank you.
Yeah.
They're both reserved. They're both sort of that stoic. They're both observers, and there's not enough balance to be able to project the story. So I'll give you that. But I think
Boba
in this
Fett
one,
got to take his mask off and convey emotions.
And yet I still feel that there is more depth with Jin.
Listen, I get it. Mandalorian fans are Mandalorian fans. I thought the Mandalorian episode Boba Fett is where the show really went off the rails, and I thought it was boring. But let us get into season. So for you, I have conveyed what I don't think works. For you all, what did you? Maude, we'll start with you. What did you like about this is season 3, episode 1, chapter 17, The Apostate.
Yes, I actually do think you're right about it being so beautiful. I think that, like, aesthetically, this thing is so enriching of the Star Wars universe. I think we have, like, he even addressed having a quest at one stage. But so I kind of love this formulaic approach where it's like, this is his mission, this is the direction, this is what he needs to do. I love that level of clarity. And then you're kind of, it's progressing in the story. So previous characters, we're seeing how they've grown in that instance. I will say that I think that every single episode 1, or at least one earlier episode in every season thus far, has had a big beast battle.
Yeah, they are way into the giant CG monster battle.
Yeah, because we had that with the
season 2 beginning. It was when the crate worm. Yeah.
Yep. The crate dragon.
Crate dragon. Sorry.
Dragons? Yeah. That's all right. And I think we had something quite similar in season 1 as well. But I think that just kind of really reiterates that Mandalorians, and especially Jin, like they're bounty hunters. They are soldiers. They are, that's kind of what they do. Did it have to be a crocodile? And I get all like, upset that Steve Irwin could have come in and just handled that without anyone dying. Yes.
Why don't, based on Steve Irwin's track record, maybe not anyone, maybe some, sorry.
Is untouchable
DJ,
as a
you're
hero.
coming for Steve Irwin now?
Yeah,
well, he did die. He did die. He did die. I mean, I'm just saying somebody could have died. It literally happened.
He died a hero? Yeah. He died a hero? Anyway, I think, it usually takes an episode to establish. And we got some establishing done.
We did do a lot of establishing. Yes. Okay, Roxy, episode 1, what did you like about it?
It felt like a nice transition back. I will say this, and I'll save it more for when we talk more about episode 2. But episode 2 is significantly better than episode 1, which is lucky for you, DJ, and for everybody out there that I think that we're moving in that direction. This episode was solid. The first episode was just kind of like a welcome back. And I missed this world, and I missed this story. And most importantly for me, I missed these characters. So I felt like a nice little hug.
100%. And I was so shocked at how much I missed it because we had quite a bit of time off.
Yes.
I had that same feeling, Roxy. Yay.
So it wasn't like I was watching it thinking, this is the most miraculous storyline I've seen yet. It was more just like, oh, thank you for welcoming me back. I'm grateful to be here and excited to go on this journey. I think that they probably should have released the first 2 episodes to the public. I like when, Hulu kind of adopted this early on. I always think if you're doing a show now, the binge model doesn't work like it used to. The every week doesn't work fully either. I like a 2 or 3 episode drop and then a weekly to kind of like really dive in. Yeah. So I felt lucky that I was able to go from a warm hug into like story. So that was a nice 1-2 punch. But yeah, I think that what I liked about this episode was Mando and was Grogu. Like that's what I like about the show. So that's what I liked about this episode. I liked the lack of Gina Carano in it. That was an exciting thing too. I liked that it was just kind of like Maude spoke on, it's not that complicated. And sometimes when I'm watching something and I'm just like, a lot of times this will happen in Marvel, in Star Wars, in DC, in Lord of the Rings, where all of a sudden I'm watching something and I'm like, what is your objective?
Who is this person?
Who am I talking to again? And what do you want? And I feel like in storytelling, at the very basics, we need to understand what somebody was trying to do or what they want. And this show is, to me, at this point, I feel confident in my characters and knowing what their overall end goal is. And so it doesn't get lost in the sauce for me.
Okay. So with that in mind, why does he go to Bo-Katan? He's like, I need this special tech piece. And then I'm going to go to Bo-Katan and talk about something completely different. And she's going to be like, hey, remember my character motivation from season 2? It's completely different now.
The sass is strong with this one.
No, but it's a genuine question. Why does he go to Bo-Katan?
He needs the location.
Okay.
So at the moment, he thinks that their original planet of Mandalore has been poisoned and it's not non-livable. They have completely abandoned a place where they used to live.
Yeah.
And Bo-Katan, Bo-Katan, right?
I think so. I'm not the expert, but yeah.
Bo-Katan is Katie Sackhoff. Yep.
Yeah.
Okay.
She used to rule there.
Yeah.
So this is like a huge thing for her to have to kind of leave that. Now, because Din's people that are sort of like a lot more, it feels like a religious subset because they're very strict by their way. This is the way.
Yeah.
Basically, because he effed up by taking his helmet off on purpose. Like he did it. And so now he has to redeem himself to be integrated back into his people.
Yeah.
And to do that, he has to submerge himself in the waters in the traditional planet that he was from. But he's here going, no one lives there. It's poisoned. The air is no good. I can't do that. Bo-Katan knows. And she's like, is it poisoned? Like, but if you need to go to this location, this is where it is. So she has the intel.
Gotcha. Okay.
It kind of reminds me, DJ, of The Last of Us, honestly, of how do we get out of here? We have to take the tunnels. How do we take the tunnels when they're completely full of all of the cracker people? What are they called?
Clickers. Yeah. Cracker people. Yes.
Crackers,
that's what they're called. That's their name.
All the clickers. Yet we know the clickers aren't actually down there, and that's how we do it. So it's like that extra layer of how do you do this? Oh, well, actually what you have believed to be true once again is not the case fully. So
and it's Pedro looking after a very innocent person. In Last of Us, she's very mouthy. In this instance, super cute.
Yeah. I guess I would just say that. So in The Last of Us, comparing Pedro Pascal characters, Joel is a very three-dimensional character. I know where he's coming from. I know where he's going. I know that he used to want to be a singer. I know what his life was like. I know that
you just want to look into his eyes.
It doesn't hurt. Maude, it doesn't hurt. But and
DJ,
so
genuinely, you don't understand Mando where he comes from.
No, I understand where it comes from. I think it's very one-dimensional. It's very, and I think that's kind of my critique of the whole show. It's very, and also it doesn't help that it feels like I'm watching somebody else play a video game. It's very fetch questy. It's like, now you need this gizmo.
Oh, I
and
like
we go
that.
to this one, and it's like,
I like that.
And so like when the pirates attack Mando because the bar they like is a school, like I don't know why they're. I obviously this is happening to introduce these pirate characters. I don't know.
Do you know what's
why
interesting
they care.
though? Okay, so I will say exactly what you said, right? And then the pirates attacked because they thought it was a bar, but now it's a school. See, that's all it is. We can say the same shit, but you can say it with disdain, and I can say it with excitement.
But my point on a story level, telling level, I think they could take the extra step to justify things a little bit more. I think they are very confident that Star Wars fans will look and see all the Star Wars things, and I'm like, that's
okay. Let's talk about the
fine.
Star Wars fans. Do you know how old they are? Do you know what the age range we have to cater for?
Yeah,
5 to 85.
Yeah.
You're asking.
That's kind of rude that you're leaving Grammy out.
96.
Yep, there we go.
Yeah.
Now she's in. Yeah, no, she loves this kind of stuff. I'm like, seriously, on your point, the Star Wars fans are of all ages, legitimately of all ages.
Yeah.
So you gotta, it's a wide range. It's not gonna work for
but all
everybody.
I'm saying is, in my opinion, it is not enough to have the tree full of the monkey aliens that were in Jabba's palace. You do a little bit of the storytelling, heavy lifting to like
Salacious Bikram.
Yeah, don't it feels like they're kind of like, well, and this happens, and then this happens. Like, yeah, but why? How does it change the character's
so it
perspective?
sounds like fundamentally this show provides fan service.
Yes.
And you're not a fan.
Yes, but to me, if all the show provides is fan service, that makes it bad. Not bad. It means it could be better.
Well,
but that's the thing is fan service is not storytelling. And so I think I would argue that fan service is fine as long as you do the work to make the story work, even if somebody's not a fan. I think that makes it better. Not to say, I shouldn't say that makes it bad. I'm saying it could be better. I think there's something in here that the work could be done. Pay attention.
What? That's my argument for the movies. Yeah. I felt like, you know what, you put fan service in it, but it wasn't enough because I needed a coherent storyline.
Yeah.
You know, and I thought that individually the movies were right. The first one, not really. I liked The Last Jedi, and I liked the final movie as well.
Yeah.
Did I wish that they talked? Did I wish that there was follow through and there was like an actual, like the storytelling component was really fleshed out better? Yeah. Absolutely. You've got all the resources, you've got all the money, you've got all the, you know, they had all the time. They had the means to create something great.
Yeah.
Where in the end we got something that was disjointedly good.
Yeah.
So I hear what you're saying when you have an expectation of getting sort of the basics down pat.
Yeah.
And I do think that it's unfair as a Star Wars fan to be like, we will blindly love everything because we will consume Star Wars.
Yeah.
Like that's not what's happening either. I really do think that there are things that happen in The Mandalorian that hit enough as a fan to appreciate it.
Yeah.
Do I love the interactions with Grogu and Din? Absolutely. Like that stuff melts my heart. I love what they've done with Grogu and I would die for this character. And I think that watching this show is a very important thing to have because it raises the stakes because I give a shit.
Yeah.
And if you just don't have that and that's not a connecting force, you're just not going to get that enriching experience where you're just happy to be there.
Yeah.
So I hear that your critical lens is sort of, it's just not being met in a critical scope. It's not being met for you.
I think that's a good way to describe it. I think it's a good way to make that distinction because obviously I like Andor because it did put how do these characters live their lives? What is the on the ground reality of being in this world? And I understand. I'm not asking Mandalorian to be Andor because I do think Andor skews older.
Yes.
But I also enjoy the Bad Batch, which is the most recent animated series because I think that there's a little. It asks us to invest. This season 2 asks us to invest a lot in like look at how the clones are being dicked over, and it's like but didn't those clones do a genocide? How culpable are they? Because the show is very loosey goosey with how culpable I should feel they are in the killing of the Jedi. Was it brainwashing or was it a choice? A little on the fence.
It was a program.
It was a program at Maude. It was a program, but there are characters in the Bad Batch who are like we were just following orders. Like whoa, time out. When you use that language, that tells me different. That says that gives me impressions of a different amount of culpability. Like, did you know what you were doing, or was it they did the thing and then you did the thing? Because that's what I was told happened. Anyway, but I do like that, and Anyway, Roxy, what were you going to say?
I want to ask you a couple questions. The first one being, when you're watching this, do you feel like, okay, at least it was only 30 minutes, or do you feel like that runtime is too short? That's why it's not getting fleshed out plot-wise the way I want it to.
I think when I watch it, I find myself like when the giant crocodile monster comes out, it's like, well, I don't know who these characters are. I don't know. So I just it was the same. Actually, it was the same thing with the fight with the crate dragon. It's like my brain just checks out. Like I don't care about this. Yeah. Same with the space battle with the pirates. Like Matt. I think the motivation for the pirates is weak, and so it's not so much that I think there is more or less time. It's that I don't like
how they're spending their time.
Yeah, I just don't. Yeah. I think Maude's making a good point that I think their energies are focused on the stuff that excites fans like you. And while I think that's not a bad instinct, like to kind of your point, Maude, I think they made a mistake by not when doing the new trilogy, not going to Dave Filoni, not creating like a writer's room, and going to J.J. Abrams and Rian Johnson, like, hey, here's the story you're telling. And
those directors weren't playing nice. You know this, right?
Well, and
J.J. literally said, you're not allowed to touch this, or this.
Yeah.
And Ryan was like, well, I had an entire script that was focusing exclusively on those. Yeah. And if you're literally vetoing my access to them, then I'm going to have to completely switch it up. They weren't playing nice. Yeah. And we all got to see the aftermath.
Well, and so I think that it would have been in their benefit not only to have like a writer's room and say, hey, here's the story we're telling before we even hire a director, here's what we're starting, and having Dave Filoni be like the point man on that, because clearly with Clone Wars and Rebels, he knows the fan, like he knows the audience. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I think there's merit to that instinct. I do think, and I think that it's even more apparent in Boba Fett, which is a show I actually enjoyed more than Mandalorian. But it's like when Cad Bane shows up in that show, it's like, oh, I actually really like Cad Bane. In the episodes I've watched, I have an action figure of him. I think he's really fucking cool. Why is he here? We didn't do any of the work to motivate why he's showing up right now. He's just here because he knows fans will be like, oh, cool, he's here. And it's like, but
okay, so
you
how
have all
about
the time
this?
and money in the world. Do the show and seed him showing up. Let
me posit something though, right? So the universe now is so big. And there are so many established characters. So if a scenario is happening and the timeline checks out and there is a person within that world, that time, that area, the timeline, who realistically could be there, why not then enter them in instead of creating another faceless, nameless person to add into the mix? We are integrating the world at this stage.
Yeah, but I think like I from what I've heard, I get the impression that they're taking the lovely storyboards that they have at the end of the credits, and they're going with storyboards, and they're kind of making up the show as they go based off these storyboards. You don't need to do that. You could write the whole like something like Last of Us. That show was written before they filmed on day one, so that you.
Mandalorian's problem is that it wasn't a video game first.
No, it's that they don't. I think you treat it like a show. You write it. You take the time to be like, okay. Look at the script. Like, wait, the pirates are mad at Mando because their bar is a school. That motivation's weak. Change it. Like give them a better motivation. Give them a more personal motivation. Maybe they hate Mandalorians for that reason. Like, you know what I mean? Like, write it. Actually, no, it's not just enough to be like, hey, here's the Babu Frick alien. It's like, I like that alien. I like that from Rise of Skywalker. Also, having him say the words that I can clearly understand, and then have Mandalorian be like, I don't understand this. And then so the alien says the words, Mando says, I don't understand. And then the one guy is like, he said this. It's like, yeah, man, I heard. This is a weird choice. Why are we doing this? It doesn't feel like, I feel like more
Roxy,
planning.
did you like that moment?
Yeah.
I did too.
Yeah.
I feel like there could be more attentiveness to the writing and the production.
DJ,
I think you're seconds away from having a tantrum, DJ.
DJ, genuinely, this is like a 1-2 question.
Yeah.
Is there anything they can do this season to make you think this show is great? and if not, do you bail at some point?
I think I would. Well, to be honest, I was going to bail on everything Star Wars post Obi-Wan, and then Andor got me back in, baby. I think it's just enough to sit down and really figure out, and maybe they're doing that. Like I thought it's not. Help me out here. The robot's not IG-88. It's just an IG-8. It's the same type of robot as
IG-11.
IG-11.
Yep.
Blowing him up at the end of season 1 was dumb because the rapport with him and Mando was giving somebody Mando to talk to, I think would do a lot to help develop the character and help me understand. Because if it's just him and a puppet
it's
most of the time,
a great example. It's like The Witcher, and then you have Jaskier in there.
Yeah, it shows benefit, especially if you're going to spend a long time with the character. It benefits to have an ensemble that you get different perspectives on a problem, and that's what benefits shows or something like Star Trek. What I think helps make Star Trek work is you got a lot of different people and perspectives. Ensembles are helpful on a show, and so by
I don't disagree.
Giving Mando nobody really to talk to on a regular basis other than a doll. I think more attentiveness to the writing, more understanding, deep. Grogu's not a character. He's a prop. He's not a character. He's a very cute. And I love that they're using practical effects. I'm not against it. Just more attentiveness to.
You felt when John Wick's dog died.
No, actually, I don't.
The dog was a prop.
The dog is an excuse to get him to do John Wick stuff. I actually think they could have handled that better.
You're gonna say a dog is a dog. How are you gonna say a Grogu is a doll?
So I think maybe that's them trying to resolve some of that stuff. Help me feel like I'm in confident hands and you're not making up the show as you go. Like you don't have to going to the Cad Bane example, we're in episode 6, I guess. Hey, maybe Cad Bane could show up. It's like, well, no, that's something you decide in writing.
It makes sense for Cad Bane to show up.
But you have a show with flashbacks in your structure. So if you know when you're breaking the scripts that you want Cad Bane in episode 6, you let the audience know what that relationship is to Boba Fett in a flashback in episode 2 or 3 or 4. And also, you don't derail your entire show to backdoor put in plot elements from a different show. Now I'm complaining about Boba Fett, which is a show I liked more than most people. I think it's just more attentive writing. Like, again, like when why is he going to Bo-Katan? We established Bo-Katan's motivations are one thing. Now we're saying it's a completely different thing. That's lazy. It's lazy writing.
No, she tried. She's lacking support. She had a team. When they didn't think that they were able to achieve their objective together, they bailed on her.
Sure.
We're allowed to change our mind in life, DJ. We're allowed to.
They changed their mind on her.
Okay, so let me ask you all. Do you think the writing in Mandalorian is as strong as it could be?
You know, you make some arguments, but it's also fueled by something that we don't share.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if my answer to that question, insert any show title here, would be yes. Can everything always be slightly stronger? Yes. If you said to me, could the writing in Andor be better? I would say yes.
Oof, I disagree. I disagree.
I know you do. But if you said to me, my favorite is Succession, could the writing be stronger? I guess yes. Could anything be stronger? Yes. Could the writing in Mando be stronger? Yes. Anything can always be slightly better.
But I think,
but the writing in this show genuinely does not bother me. The dialogue does not bother me. The story does not bother me. You know, there's two things that I feel like are super trendy now when people are ripping shows or movies that people do, which is, number one, they'll call it emotionally manipulative, which I've never understood that tactic. That's what art is. It's supposed to manipulate your emotions. I don't know how we've used that as a dagger. Mm-hmm. That's what art is. And the second one is kind of what you're talking about right now, which is just that, like, the show, they don't know where they're going with it. They don't know. This show has no idea what the end game is, or it should have been all written out. I don't really understand the criticism of that. I'm never watching this feeling like it's aimless. I'm not watching this feeling like they have no grip on their character. I feel like maybe the show isn't going where you want it to go, but I don't feel like they have no idea what they're doing with it. I feel like they've been super clear from day one what they're intending.
I think you're putting an Andor lens over a Mandalorian concept.
I would push back on that because like for when you have a scene where, like, when he has Grogu, like, you need to be good at navigation so you know where you go.
That's important, DJ.
Yeah, man. That's how navigation works. That's nothing. It's literally nothing. And I think, like,
no, it's not nothing.
It's characters saying and
We're
doing
going
things
into spoiler territory
for no reason.
We're going into spoiler territory. There is a reason. This is the way.
But to clarify, when I watch something like Last of Us, you see this is a smart decision. This is a decision. I see where you're going.
Give me something that doesn't have original IP, though, DJ, because I don't think it's fair that you're comparing it.
Last of Us isn't original IP. Last of Us is based on a game.
Give me a comparison that is original IP, because when you're comparing, not only was The Last of Us fully written in 2 seasons, but it's not just about the fact that it was written. It's about the fact that it was reacted to already. They already know what works from their fans. They've already heard feedback. It's one thing to have something fully written. It's another to have something written and commented on. So what show or what thing do you feel like has such a better grip that doesn't have source material?
Well, that's a little bit tricky because so much of our media landscape right now is adapted from things. So to pull, but I actually don't think that undermines my point in that. Okay, a good example: Breaking Bad, Better Call Saul, The Wire, The Shield. Shows
like those all
like
you're reminding everyone the genre that you appreciate. They are
no,
all
but I
falling
don't
under
think
the
it's
same.
no, but again, I think it's just I think there is an intentfulness that if you understand, like, what ideas you're trying to communicate in the most effective ways to do that. There's a lot of writing shortcuts in Mandalorian that I think makes for a more simplistic kind of a story that you're right. I don't find engaging. But let me clarify this way: if they took the fan service out, do you like the Mandalorian as much, or is there anything there? If you take the fan service out.
Well, when it's based in a world that's got like 4-5 decades of characters and things like the fan service, that's not something that you just take out. Like that exists.
But again, for example, if Andor was not in Star Wars, you still have a kick-ass sci-fi show. You still have everything about that show still works without.
But the things that I loved about it is that you saw Mon Mothma, and this is someone who had a line in the movies, and then you see her backstory, and the fact that it's Mon Mothma was important.
Yeah,
could she be cool as a standalone if her name was Sarah Smith? But it wouldn't have the depth that it has I appreciate.
They wouldn't have what you appreciate, but it would still work because I still understand.
It didn't work for me. Remember, DJ? I didn't know Mon Mothma, and she didn't work for me as a character. I didn't like her, and it was the worst part
different
of the show.
Different strokes for different folks.
Totally, but to Maud's point, that's literally every week you heard me be like, I am so annoyed with this Mon Mothma bitch. And you would be like, what? But in the movies, and I was like, I don't know. I don't
have that.
But I don't care about the movies. And I still found the being trying to be a political figure in a totalitarian regime and figure out a way to be and resist. That's all very compelling. That's all very
but that's still a genre that really, really resonates with you.
But I like westerns. I like Lone Wolf and Cub. I like sci-fi. I like fantasy. That's the thing, Maude. If you tell me all the stuff that's in Star Wars, all the stuff George Lucas ripped off to make Star Wars, I love that shit.
June.
But you did like Boba Fett, which I would argue is even more Western. So that is interesting.
I
know you like Westerns.
Conceptually, on paper, I like everything here. You know what I mean? I like all the stuff. I just think I think the writing's a bit lazy. And I think it's silly without.
Is it more lazy or is it more generous for a larger scope of people?
I think you could still get all the fan service stuff you want, and the dialogue would not be as bad. There's a version of this where the dialogue's actually good, but you still have all the fan service, in my opinion. Okay. Let's move over real quick. Let's move over to some Discord questions. We got Mike Joyce. I loved the Grogu and the Anzellan scene. I'm going to assume those are the Babu Fricks. Because he tried to hug one of the Babu Fricks.
What are they called?
Anzellans, according to Mike Joyce, if I'm getting my aliens correct. Are you worried there will be too much Grogu cuteness this season? Maude and Roxy.
Is your answer yes?
These are for you. These aren't for me. These questions aren't for me.
So I also, another thing I don't really understand is the term fan service. I think that's a hole in my vocabulary because to me, like a lot of people say that Grogu is fan service as a character and is there to sell toys. I don't feel that way. I feel like a strong bond and connection with Grogu. I feel a protection over him and like just such a love for him. So I don't worry about things like, is it going to be cuteness overload? That's what's actually working for me.
Yes, agree. And it's like Grogu literally is a pathway to Din's vulnerability.
Right.
So what a crucial thing. So, and I honestly think like I have a friend who's just had a baby and like season 1 and 2, no baby. Season 3, baby. And they were like, whoa, this is hitting different for me now.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah. There's a real paternal, maternal feeling with Grogu. So Grogu being young and being sort of like needing that extra care, wanders off, it is thoughtful, but is also observant, but is so small and fragile. Like that dynamic, I think is the most beautiful part about the show.
Yeah.
Bring on the cuteness. I love it. And honestly, when I saw the premiere, any little or any little moment that Grogu had, the theater erupted. Yes.
That's me. When I watch by myself, I'm like, oh.
Yeah. It's landing, DJ.
And
I know people love the show. That's fine.
To respond to Mike too, just to be 100% transparent, what's weird about me is that I actually don't fuck with babies. I'm not into babies, and I'm not into puppies. Like when my friends send me pictures of things like this, like my whole life, everybody's been like, you have no maternal instinct. I have no, when I watch a baby on screen or my friends' babies, it's actually got me in a lot of trouble. I have nothing.
I've seen you punch a lot of babies, and I've wanted to mention it, but people, different strokes, different strokes for different folks.
Same thing with puppies. And again, I know I'm outing myself right now, but I don't feel that thing. When I
just held Zelda earlier, nothing.
Felt nothing.
Yeah.
No, nothing.
Roxy saw somebody throw a sack of puppies into a river, and she was like, "Fine, I'm fine with that."
I had puppies my whole life. I liked my dogs, not when they were puppies, because that was annoying.
Mm-hmm.
When they were dogs, I liked them better. I don't like babies. I like kids.
Yeah.
When you can tell me with your words, this is what I want to wear today, I'll fuck with you.
Yeah.
My siblings have always said to me they're going to have to raise my kids if I ever have them until they're 4 or 5, because I don't want them till then.
Mm-hmm.
So like my whole life, this has been a thing. And I like Grogu.
Mm-hmm.
And that like
because
that's
even though you don't like babies, you do like dolls. Now moving on to Leonard.
No, I don't like dolls. I like that Grogu also can be a helpful babe. Like Grogu sometimes gives back in a way that I'm like, yes, Grogu,
part of a team.
Yes.
That's a weird. Don't have time
Paying
to unpack
the
that, but
rent.
that is a weird way to look at babies. Like babies don't give back. I was like, well, that's not the
They don't do anything for you.
But yeah, okay, all right. We don't.
And they take your milk, they take your heart, they take everything from you, and they give you nothing.
Sure. We don't. This is not the show to unpack that, but yeah, okay. We'll put a pin in that for later. Leonard Kim asks, "Do you think we'll get more of Mando taking off his helmet this season?"
Yes.
And I'll say, well, yeah, whenever Pedro Pascal was available to actually shoot.
Okay, storyline wise, that's an interesting thing though. Like contractually, my answer also is yes. But after this season, I don't know how many seasons they're intending for the show to go. But like the whole purpose of this season being, we've got to get back the Mando title and go through the we don't remove our helmet thing. I don't know. It's going to be weird sometimes. It's going to be clearly contractual when we see his face, like because just that is a little bit weird. I don't know how they're going to get through that for years to come.
Yeah.
Well, I think we've had 2 seasons to establish his identity, which is he's intrinsically a part of this group of Mandalorians who have a very strict set of ethics, right? And he stepped out of it because something bigger than his beliefs was needed, and that was Grogu, right? And now he's trying to reassimilate with his people by undergoing this. But he's also now introduced to Bo-Katan and another group of Mandalorians that are completely under a different umbrella. So I think he's going to realize that he's putting all of this effort to belong, and they're still going to maybe not have him.
I agree, but to that point, and then to DJ's point, then I think we almost have to never helmet him. And I don't think he can be on set that often. So
he's a busy boy. It's going to be
the back and forth of helmet, no helmet, helmet, no helmet, and his schedule will be interesting to see how that affects the plot.
Yeah. Last thing is I'll just his point of example, and this will not help Roxy one bit. One of my favorite shows is an animated series called Primal, where no character speaks.
So violent.
Well, it's not. It is violent, but not a single character speaks in it, and yet so much more is conveyed storytelling wise in that time. And I think that's a good example of what. Just a kind of a more effective, just a more effective storytelling, and that is an original IP. Anyway, listen. I love the different opinions. There's going to be people coming in the show that love Mandalorian, and you got Roxy and Maude repping you. And then if you're you wish maybe it was a little tighter. Yeah, I'm here for you. I gotcha.
Do a lot of people tweet at you? Because obviously I almost see exclusively Mando love.
Yeah.
Do a lot of people message you like that's how I feel? Or do you see on your timeline, are there a lot of people who are not digging this show?
Well, listen, I try, people get mad at me for being negative, and I don't feel like I'm being negative, but I think it's pertinent to criticize things, especially from billion-dollar companies, and say, hey, you could do better.
Also, people that don't like the show aren't actively seeking more conversations about the show.
Yeah.
Have you seen how Twitter works? I feel like
I didn't try. I haven't really voiced all of my thoughts on it, so I haven't seen a lot of a lot of feedback. Some yes, some no. I mostly was just like, yeah, Andor was dope, right? And everybody's like, yeah, Andor was dope. I'm like, yeah, I know.
I saw that tweet and I was like, the shade while complimenting. Okay,
Andor was just real good. But I do think there's a larger conversation that we don't have time for before, because because there's people that feel like all negative, you can't be negative about things. And it's like, but again, these are products.
I think you're being critical, not negative. You're being critical about it.
Thank you, Maude. I appreciate that. I feel like you see me. I'm not trying to rain on everybody's parade. I'm just, No,
you're like, your Star Wars, the bar's here. Yeah. Get there.
We're just a lot of attention's being paid to this stuff. Maybe you could just put a little more energy into it is all I'm saying. Listen, that's it from Maude. Before we go, that's it from us. Remind everybody where they can find you.
I'm Maude Garrett on all socials if you want to drop on by there. If you do want a book club where we read a book a month, we do streams and conversations on it. Just look up Maude's book club on all of things.
And what's the book you're reading now?
Red Rising. Start of a series by Pierce Brown. Essentially, they call it Hunger Games on Mars. Apparently, it has a massive fan base. This series is doing incredibly well, so I'm excited to get stuck into it. And I've got a Q&A booked in with the author Pierce Brown at the end of the month. I think that's really fucking cool. I think that's a great excuse for people, possibly even me, to read more. And also, I really have a great deal of respect for the idea of like, okay, what actually makes me happy? So how can I spend more time doing that thing? I think that's a fantastic. Because they got a point in Star Wars where it was like, a new trailer came out. Where is your 2-hour breakdown? And I was like, I haven't even seen it yet. I think there's a lot of merit in that. Roxy, where can people find your 2-hour breakdown of the new Star Wars trailer?
Just really diving in. Everywhere at Roxy Stryer.
Everywhere at Roxy Stryer. And for those that aren't following Roxy, you should know, I think she's doing some really good stuff. If I may say so, Roxy, packing your personal stuff. And for people, you started something at the beginning of the pandemic that obviously you're not filming every day like you used to, but you're still basically, you're being there for other people. Roxy. Yeah, you're being there for people that are going through stuff. And I have a lot of admiration for that.
Thanks. I appreciate that. Yeah. I got back into therapy this last week because I am in like a fucking depression pit of hell. And, I started talking about that on my show, which is really difficult to do. And I know a lot of people do it, but it's just really hard because when you're in it, it's hard to talk about it. It's easier like to speak about it in past tense, but I think it's most helpful when you're in it. And this week, people have been so kind about that. And the last time I was very open about it, people were really not kind about it.
Oh, honey. God, that's kick you when you're down.
Yeah. And so this time I was like very nervous, but so far people have been like, maybe I'm just speaking more clearly. I think it's resonating with people. And also I'm trying to give a lot of tips on how to find therapists because it's so difficult right now, or how to find help and what kind of help is out there. And I'm going to start bringing on different people who practice different tools and try to give more like actual tools for you guys, because that's what I'm looking for right now, not just somebody to listen. I need some real tools to implement. So
I wonder if maybe the change in response, obviously no way to know. I wonder if it's part of it is the work you've put in to cultivate the audience that you have over the years. And I wonder if people that thought they were like, haha, I'm above this thing, 3 years later, they're like, oh, actually things are hard. It's like,
I think definitely depression is very prevalent right now. And as is anxiety, in
a post-pandemic world. Oh my God, absolutely. Like goals, motivation, gone. Like we got 2 years stolen from us in a way. So that's hard to bounce back on. I have some book recommendations for that though.
Which are
good. Yes. I love one of the only things I do is read self-help books.
Perfect. So that like I basically do like sci-fi fantasy. I call it self-improvement. Self-development. Because it's like this bitch doesn't ask for help. But So anything by Brene Brown. I really got stuck into Brene Brown during the pandemic, and she kind of was the one who taught me that at a fundamental level, humans desire connection, and that we're almost willing to change ourselves just to fit in. But what we really seek is to belong. And when we belong, it's because we are accepted completely for who we are. So that's sort of what we all crave. Anything Brene Brown, she talks a lot about shame. So she's like a shame researcher. And she really breaks down the difference between being embarrassed, being humiliated, and being shamed. And so I think when you have a better relationship and understanding about shame, she talks about trauma dumping, how you can share shame, who you should share your shame with, how you can acknowledge those feelings. Super, super helpful, especially when you're a face on the internet. That's been really helpful for me. If you're looking to get motivated and to feel inspired about living every day a little bit better, there's a book called Atomic Habits by James Clear. Basically, the whole thing with that is just try to improve 1% every single day. So like just do something 1% better so it's manageable. But he talks about building incredibly beneficial habits and like how to sort of like cheat the system so you're stacking your habits to be even better every single day. I think that was really helpful. Because he talks about it from a personal experience as well. So they're the two books, like two authors that I would absolutely recommend for anyone going down that self-help journey.
Thanks, Maude, babe.
I gotcha.
Yeah. Hell yeah. If you want to check out their stuff, there will be links in the description. Please go over there, check that out. Again, hellbentcomicbook.com. It's in its final days. So if you're waiting to contribute, now is the time. If you wanted to back Hellbent, any one of the previous campaigns, this is your third and final time. We could really, even though the campaign's doing really well, we could use all the support we can get because comics are expensive. And they're expensive because we're paying Jane and I, my co-writer, we don't get any money from it. It's all going to our creative team. And we want to be able to support them. It's an incredibly cool, diverse team of creators that are helping us make this book. Hellbentcomicbook.com. Go check it out. If you ever want to be drawn in a comic, there's a few of those left. And this will be your last time to be drawn into a Hellbent, so don't miss out.
Wow.
You can find me at DJ Talks Trash. You can follow this show everywhere that matters on Only Stupid Answers, but on Twitter.
You ain't got the vowels from stupid.
And we'll see you all next time. Bye, everybody.